She walked off the court smiling. But what if I told you that smile didn't tell the full story? Because behind one of the most exciting breakout seasons in women's tennis, behind the viral moments, the packed crowds, and the growing global fan base, there's a much deeper reality that Eala has finally opened up about. And trust me, what she admitted about her first year on the WTA Tour is not what most fans expected. Now, here's why this matters right away, because this isn't just another rising star story. This is about a player who's already breaking barriers, rewriting history, and quietly building something that could shake up the entire future of women's tennis. But before we get into the biggest revelation she made, you need to understand just how fast everything happened. 1 year ago, Eala wasn't a household name on the WTA Tour. She was talented, yes, promising, absolutely, but still, unproven at the highest level. Then came Miami, and everything changed. Out of nowhere, she goes on this insane run, taking down not one, not two, but three former Grand Slam champions. Let that sink in for a second. This wasn't a lucky draw. This wasn't a fluke. This was a statement. And suddenly, the tennis world had a new name they couldn't ignore. But here's the part nobody saw coming. It wasn't just her results that exploded. It was her presence. Her matches, packed. Her press conferences, outperforming some of the biggest names in the sport. At one point, she was literally pulling more attention than players who had already won multiple Grand Slams. That doesn't happen by accident. That kind of connection with fans, that's rare. And honestly, it created a level of expectation that most 20-year-olds are nowhere near ready to handle. So fast forward to now, 1 full year on the WTA Tour. All the hype, all the pressure, all the ups and downs. And when she finally looks back at everything, what does she say? It's been really amazing. Simple, right? But don't let that calm answer fool you, because just seconds later, she reveals something much more real. She admits there were lots of lessons, lots of ups and downs. And this is where things get interesting, because most players at her stage would try to highlight only the positives. They'd focus on the wins, the rankings, the milestones, but Eala didn't do that. She leaned into the struggle. She acknowledged the chaos. And that tells you a lot about where her mindset is right now. See, the biggest challenge for young players isn't talent. It's not even consistency. It's perspective. And this is where Eala might already be ahead of the curve, because she said something that honestly sounds simple, but could define her entire career. When things are going bad, it's not as bad as it seems. And when things are going well, it's also not as good as it seems. Think about that for a second. That's not just a quote. That's survival in professional tennis, because this sport will mess with your head more than anything else. 1 week, you're unstoppable. The next, you can't buy a win. And if you ride those emotional waves too hard, you burn out fast. So the fact that she's already thinking like this, that's dangerous in a good way. But here's where the story takes a turn that not enough people are talking about. Because while her mindset is strong, her results have been a mix of brilliance and heartbreak. Let's go back to Eastbourne. She reaches the final. Huge moment, chance to win her first WTA title. Everything is lining up perfectly. And then it slips away. Match points, gone. Opportunity, missed. Now, moments like that can break players. Seriously, we've seen it happen before. Young stars get close, fall short, and then struggle to recover mentally. But here's the twist. Instead of letting that define her, Eala seems to have absorbed it, learned from it, and moved forward without losing belief. That's not normal. That's something you usually see in players who have been on tour for years. Which raises a serious question. Is she developing faster mentally than people expected? Because if the answer is yes, then everything changes. Now let's talk about something that might actually be even more important than her results. Her fan base. Because this is where things get borderline unbelievable. At the Australian Open earlier this year, one of her matches had to turn fans away. Turn them away. The court was full, overflowing. People couldn't get in. For a player still in the early stages of her career. That's insane. And it tells you something powerful. This isn't just hype. This is connection. And in today's game, connection can be just as important as trophies. Look at the biggest names in tennis. They don't just win, they pull people in. They create moments. They build communities. And somehow Eala is already doing that. Which brings us to the biggest question of this entire video. Can she actually turn all of this into a Grand Slam title? Because let's be honest, that's the ultimate goal. And recently, some analysts have already started pointing out what she needs to improve. Consistency, physical endurance, handling pressure in key moments. All fair points. But here's where I'm going to give you my honest take. I think people are underestimating how much time she has. She's only 20 and already competing at this level, already making deep runs, already building a global following. That combination doesn't come around often, but, and this is important, potential alone doesn't guarantee anything. We've seen next big things disappear before. So what makes her different? I think it comes back to that mindset again. Because when a player understands that highs aren't permanent and lows aren't fatal, they become harder to shake, more stable, more dangerous over time. And if she keeps building on that foundation, then yeah, a Grand Slam isn't some crazy dream. It becomes a realistic target. But let me add one more layer to this, because there's something else happening here that could push her even further. Representation. She's not just playing for herself. She's carrying the hopes of an entire country that hasn't traditionally been at the center of tennis. And that kind of responsibility can go one of two ways. It can crush you, or it can elevate you. Right now, it looks like it's doing the second, but the real test is still coming. Because the second year on tour, that's where things get brutal. Now, players know you, they study your game, they find your weaknesses. That element of surprise, gone. So this next phase of her career is going to tell us everything we need to know. Can she adapt? Can she evolve? Can she handle being the one everyone is chasing instead of the one doing the chasing? And here's the curiosity gap I want you to think about. What if her best weapon isn't her forehand? What if it's her mindset? Because if that continues to develop the way it has over the past year, then we might be looking at a player who's not just here for a moment, but here for an era. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think Eala can win a Grand Slam in the next 3 years? Or is the hype moving too fast? Drop your take in the comments, because this is one of those debates that could age very quickly. And trust me, we'll be coming back to this conversation sooner than you think, because something tells me her story is just getting started. And the next chapter might be the one that changes everything. If you love deep tennis stories like this, make sure you stay locked in with Tennis IQ, where we break down the game beyond the surface and bring you closer to the players shaping the future.